What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Variant the Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Arris with Tim, per usual. What's up, Tim?
Greetings, Variant Nation!
What is
going on, Arris and Arris? This is the first time that we are together back in studio, recording face-to-face in quite some time.
But they'll never know.
Yeah, you'll never know.
They
until
would have known.
No, I just said it, so now they know.
Now they know. Look at that.
Yeah, now they know.
But for
so
it's just it's a
verbal announcement.
It's a bigger tease for them because now they're like, awesome. Why is there no video then?
So just take that and use that as a motivational moment, to get excited and know that we are one step closer to you guys seeing our beautiful faces once more. I'm staring at Arris's beautiful face right now.
But what if for the people who don't think that my face or your face is beautiful, then what?
Well, I mean, you could always just turn off the video and listen to the audio. That's what the audio podcast is.
Because there's people out there like, thank God, I didn't want to stare at their dumb faces.
Yeah, this is in fact, I would say that's probably the majority of the audience.
Yeah.
But hey, that's why we have audio-only podcasts.
I had to say minority to make myself feel better, Tim. Now I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
Well, I think you'll be fine.
All right, we'll move on. Anyway, we got a lot of cool teases this week. A lot of cool information. Bad Batch episode 3. We're really behind on that.
Yeah.
I
think what we should do, we should maybe skip this episode because it wasn't super eventful either. I think we should watch episode 4.
It was a good episode, though.
It was good, but it wasn't like crazy eventful.
No, it wasn't. But
it was a little bit filler, although it did have some story building elements.
Yes.
But nothing crazy as well.
Dude, the way that Omega, Hunter, the whole family vibe they're building, and then the action at the end.
Yeah.
And you're exploring the characters a lot more into it, like Echo and Tech. I'm loving.
But I think
those
if
guys.
we wait and we watch episode 4, then we can talk about it cumulatively.
3 episodes. The whole podcast would just be Bad Batch.
Yeah, and then that also gives us an excuse to be fully up to speed when we're talking to all of you out there.
Even though I'm gonna call you out, Tim. You promised last podcast.
I did.
You promised.
I did.
That we would not fall behind anymore.
This is a fact, and I take full responsibility for every single word that I say. But in my defense, I don't know. I'm busy.
You got nothing. You got nothing.
The reality is we have a unusual amount going on right now because as we mentioned in the previous podcast, this Friday, actually,
dun.
And May 28th, to be exact, we have quite a large announcement coming up on the channel. So you all are going to be wanting to watch very closely to the Variant YouTube channel as we have a very big announcement, particularly Mr. Quinones over here sitting next to me.
Uh-oh.
So
I'm excited.
He's got some goose pimples building up in his system. And we're going to be announcing something very big. Arris has got some cool things to bring to you.
You're teasing them, Tim. You're teasing.
I am.
Hopefully it makes me a real boy, right? Hopefully it makes me a real boy.
Right. One day. It's inevitable, really. This could only take you one step closer.
Will this be my Super Saiyan level up, hopefully?
I don't know. I guess that's all going to depend on how the audience responds to the announcement.
And now they're like, what? What is happening? What is... I will say, though, that I guess some of them have to be guessing, right? I'm not going to say what they're guessing, but...
There's probably 1,000 guesses out there of what we're doing. But.
Yeah. Making my MCU debut? Huh? Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If that was the case, first of all, I'd be a lot more excited.
I'm gonna get Feige on the horn now.
That's right. Me and Feige be negotiating terms. But yeah, you definitely want to be watching the channel this coming Friday, May 28th, to get all the dirt, the scoop. Skinny on our announcement.
We actually, before this, we may have just shot that announcement.
That's right.
So look at that.
We actually just did get done filming.
That. It's fresh. But we will save that for the 28th of May.
That's
Mark
right.
it on your calendar, friends.
Be there, be square.
But anyway, since we're going to skip Bladblatch? What's a Bladblatch, Tim? What's a Bladblatch?
I don't know. I guess that depends on your definitions.
Since we're going to skip Bad Batch today, let's start with another B topic right here.
We got a pretty good list of little
B's,
odds and ends.
Let's give you a rundown of how the episode's going to go, guys. Let's just give you a little rundown. It's a lot of B's for some reason. We got the Black Adam costume tease from The Rock on his Instagram.
It's kind of a tease.
But you know the internet. You see a little thing, you're like, ah!
Yeah.
So we got to talk about it because people are going to ask
that
us.
much closer to seeing the real thing.
People were going to ask us. The new Batman cartoon.
Yes, that's a big one.
Batman, CAPED CRUSADER. Then we also have the Black Widow and Loki little teasers we got. We got
that
little
Loki
clips.
teaser.
I know. I know. We got to see Mr. Morbius, Owen Wilson, all that good stuff. Those are all the B's. Then we got some G.I. Joe news and Injustice news. That's it. So we got.
Well, no, there's one other thing.
There's another B?
No, it's not a B.
It's not a B. Okay.
It's not a B.
It's not a B?
It's an E.
It's an E.
Yeah, Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt, that's right.
Emily Blunt coming out and dropping some sad words.
It does.
For Marvel fandom and fans of the MCU. So we'll get into that too.
Anyway, Black Adam Timm. For those of you who don't know, The Rock took to his Instagram to post a picture of him in the Black Adam costume, but he was wearing a robe, right? So we only got to see a little bit of the forearm and a little bit of the chest. You see a little bit of the yellow, which we are assuming is the yellow, the lightning bolt, right?
It was a little bit of chest for once. But The Rock is usually a lot of chest.
So you see a little bit of the lightning bolt, the yellow coming out there, and we get to see the pattern though. It looks like there's some kind of hieroglyphics or writing on his arm. It's great. To me, it kind of looks like the same texture as Ben Affleck's suit in BVS.
It very much does. You're right.
Especially it being gray like that as well. Except this is writing. But we've been to Warner Brothers, their studio tour. We've actually shot footage and stuff there, and we saw that Henry Cavill's Superman costume actually has Kryptonian writing on it as well. So this seems to be a trend that the DCU
a very similar pattern. I wonder if it's the same costume designer.
Probably could be,
because we were very surprised to learn that, because you could not make that out when you're just watching Superman. At least most people didn't. And then when we got up close and they pointed it out to us. It's a super cool ad that not a lot of people are aware of.
Really, really cool. Very, very cool. So, again, there's not really much to talk about besides, we see the pattern. It's got writing on it, a little bit of this. But what did you think? You got any thoughts you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like for him to post it as like any kind of it was a little bit of a cheap tease.
Yeah.
That was my only thing. It's a lot of people are up in there freaking out and just like, oh, it's a little bit. And for me, I'm just like, oh, come on. I mean, we're far enough along where we can, can't we just get some kind of a promo? I mean, we've been waiting 57 years for this thing.
We got the animated promo at
the Fandom. Concept art.
Yeah, the concept of Boss Logic and Jim Lee. It was like the motion comic is pretty much what it was with Rock's narration. But yeah, I mean, they've been shooting for, a few weeks now? Almost a month, 3 weeks-ish, maybe?
What I was kind of hoping for was like a shot maybe from behind. You know what I mean? Like where it shows his back with like his head down or something like that, where you don't get the full, the yellow lightning bolt across his chest and all that kind of stuff, but it's like something more.
I'm curious,
because it looked like he was getting his hair cut.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if they're going to give him a cape. I know in the concept art, the motion comic we saw from it, he does have a cape. But as we know in the comics, original Black Adam doesn't have a cape. The cape kind of came with the New 52 and stuff like that. And that's kind of seems like what they're pulling their inspiration from. So I'm curious to see if it's going to be a thing where like it'll be on and off,
Well, he alluded no capes.
Oh, did he?
He did. He alluded to going full Incredibles. No capes.
Oh, I don't remember hearing that. But in the concept art, you see the cape. So I wonder if he loses it.
I don't know. It's possible. I don't know. We'll see.
Interesting.
Because knowing The Rock, I would think. My opinion, I would think that he would want a cape. Like, I'm going full superhero.
Yeah, at least for like half the film or something. He'd get destroyed and he'd be like, I don't want it anymore.
But maybe he wants that to be the thing that differentiates him from characters like Superman, Batman.
Well, maybe that's his turn, right? Like when because Black Adam, initially before he goes full anti-hero, he's like supposed to be the hero. That's why he was chosen and all that stuff. Yeah. So maybe he starts with the cape, and then by the end of the movie when he's like, I'm full anti-hero or whatever, a villain, he ditches the cape. No capes.
That's possible.
End of mode.
Yeah. No capes.
But anyway, let's go to the second beat today. We got 3 Bs. We're going to go on second. I'm very excited about this one, Tim. This one's near and dear to my heart.
Understandably.
Batman, but also because who's involved. First, Batman is getting a new animated series exclusively on HBO Max. It is called Batman Caped Crusader, which is a fantastic name.
Dope title.
Dope title. Not Batman the Caped Crusader. Batman Caped Crusader.
Yeah.
Right? And the creative team, the guys who are making the series.
That's the big thing, I think.
Big thing. So first off, you could have just said this one name and I'd be like, yes, Bruce Timm. Creator of the Batman animated series, the DCAU, all of the stuff I love the most.
Yep.
I always credit it for literally getting me into comic books. It's Bruce Timm. Yep. One of my heroes, my childhood and adult heroes, right? But also you got freaking Matt Reeves working on it. Matt Reeves, who, as we know, is currently in post with the Batman, doing his trilogy in live action. And then to top it all off, one of the biggest Hollywood directors right now, blockbuster directors.
His mentor,
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
It's a trifecta.
It's crazy.
Bruce Timm, Matt Reeves, J.J. freaking Abrams.
That's a lot of talent.
That's insane. And like you said, it's, because Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams, blockbuster directors. So it's like, well, these are like literally Hollywood guys.
Each in their own right.
Right. But you actually were telling me earlier before we started recording, he's like, but they were geeking out working with Bruce Timm because they grew up with the cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how successful you are. It's like, this is the guy who like created possibly one of the best cartoon series ever created.
Right. I mean, that was a huge like series and story arcs for my childhood. So I got to imagine that these guys, I mean, both of them were like head over heels to dive into the Batman universe and the DC universe overall, creatively. J.J. Abrams, all the signs are that he went to Warner Brothers. One of the big things that lured him over there with that big deal with Bad Robot and luring him over for, what was it, $500 million or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Was that he's going to get to, swim in the DC pool.
And he's doing it.
Yeah, he's that was the speculation up front, and now we have full confirmation now that he's going to be making a big splash on that front.
I wonder if like he's the one, because Bruce Timm has obviously, since all the success he's had with Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League, so on and so forth, he's been like one of the heads and lead guys at DC and Warner Animation since like 92, early 90s, right? So
he pretty much helped spearhead DC Animation.
Yeah. Because before that, he was even working storyboard artist for like Tiny Toons and Animaniacs and all that stuff. So he's just in there with Warner Animation. So I wonder if like him being like that icon for animated series and cartoons and just animated animation in general, if when J.J. Abrams was approached by DC and stuff, he's like, awesome, but I want to do something with Bruce Timm.
It's possible, man. I have to imagine if they're as big of fans of that series and grew up on it the way we did, they were geeking out to be able to do that and develop, be a part of, that world in some way. And I mean, it's like, crazy. Think about like that from our perspective. We're storytellers ourselves. We're this is what we love and do for a living. Can you imagine if we had the opportunity to work with, Bruce Timm and Paul Dini on something inside the Batman the Animated Series universe?
I would not stop crying.
You would be
tears of
freaking
happiness
out for like months. Every day you would just be I'm on another planet.
Yeah. I remember when we were at New York Comic Con, we were part of press for The Killing Joke, the animated movie, which was coming out at the time. And I was able to chat or interview Bruce Timm, and you remember how nervous I was. I was like, "This is the guy that's responsible for my childhood."
Breathe, man, breathe. I
was like, "This is the dude."
His whole left side shut down.
So, like, he is obviously a very, very, he's an icon in animation. Yep. But even for people like me, it's even more so than that, because it's like, I like Batman the Animated Series more than like almost anything. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's absolutely true.
It's like wife, kids, Batman the Animated Series, right?
Yeah, we just got actually you guys, we've talked about displayed on the show. We actually just got a whole new batch of displays that we're going to be
Was it a bad batch? It wasn't.
It was not a bad batch.
It was a great batch.
Very
good
batch.
Great batch
of displays. And you guys are going to be seeing them when we come back on the video version of the podcast, but one of them is a Batman the Animated Series framed poster, and it is just, I think it's probably the coolest one we have, or up there.
It's up there for sure. Yeah, the Godzilla one is pretty cool too. It's retro Godzilla.
Well, for me, the other one is the Hulk. The World War Hulk.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna see it. There's a World War Hulk poster that I'm just like, oh mama, it's so good.
It's pretty good.
But yeah, everything about Batman the Animated Series, like when you mention, obviously to you, as you said, that's like your number one. That's like you are a number one, even for me. Like when you talk about comic books, characters, storylines, movies, animated, whatever, the first thing that comes to my mind is Batman the Animated Series.
Right.
It sets such a mark. You know what I mean? Like it's such a high bar.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And it had such an indelible mark on so many of us of our generations. So yeah, when we were there interviewing for The Killing Joke, there was an incredible lineup of people that we actually got to talk to.
Like Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy was there. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of really incredibly talented, well-known people. And I think both of us, the one that we were like, wow, was Bruce Timm. We were like,
Timm.
That's the guy.
That's because he
started all of it.
Him and Batman himself, which Bruce Timm and Kevin Conroy, both really, really nice. But there's something about Kevin Conroy where it's like you just want to hug him. Like loves what he does, and he's like, yes, I'm Batman. Yes, come talk to me. We could be friends.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen you get caught on camera in more of a childlike state than when Kevin agreed to do his iconic
dude.
I am the night.
Yeah, I am vengeance. I am the night.
Vengeance,
I am Batman.
I am the night. I am Batman.
Dude.
And
I have it on my
loud,
phone. It's
dude.
saved on my phone.
I know. We've watched that a whole bunch of times. We got it on camera multiple ways. And it was one of the things that shocked me. I don't know if you remember that. It was so loud.
Oh, yeah. Everyone heard it. Yeah,
the whole place stopped when he did it.
Mm-hmm.
It was because his voice, the way he was able to project his voice, I was like, whoa. It was like an opera singer almost with that kind of skill.
The fact that I got Batman himself to personally do that, like, you know, a foot away from me.
Yeah.
Dude, talk about bucket list, right?
That's up there.
That's
of some of the cooler things that we've gotten to be a part of and see in real life.
Especially for me, just because like that's my thing, right?
Yeah.
Like some people's thing might be like Star Wars or Power Rangers, but like Batman is my top thing, especially the animated series. So I'm like, oh man, I don't know, like Mark Hamill would be the only other thing because he's Luke and the Joker.
That's
so if
true.
I got like the double, you know, right there where he went from like Luke to Joker, man.
Yeah.
He's even the Hobgoblin in Spider-Man the Animated Series. He does everything. So yeah.
That was pretty great. But the point is, Batman the Animated Series is like a number one. So for them to bring this back with such an incredible team of people, two of which are arguably amongst the biggest creators in all of Hollywood,
right?
Especially J.J. Abrams, and who are probably also geeking out about working with Bruce Timm within this universe. But everything about it, from the title to the way it sounds, what
Batman
they're looking
Caped Crusader. I will say though, it is not connected to Batman the Animated Series. For people wondering, it's not.
It's different.
It is from the description that they put out on like Hollywood Reporter and Deadline. It is very noir. It will be very crime centric and like almost like not like a thriller because it is.
I got kind of Batman Year One vibes a little bit.
Seems like definitely if you see because they released a poster for it, you definitely see like the cowl is very much like first appearance Batman,
right?
You know, so. It seems like Bruce Timm, it's going to be very much in vein with Batman the Animated Series where it's very noir.
Yep.
It's going to do a lot of like adult themes, but kids will still be able to watch it too. So
I have to imagine there's going to be all kinds of like nods to that series.
Oh yeah. I'm wondering about the voice cast.
Yeah.
Are they going to get Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, like all those guys?
I really hope they do, especially Conroy. Dude. Because I think you can take liberties with some of the other voices, I think. Mm-hmm. But Batman
and the Joker, but you have to get
right? That's another big one because
right,
Mark Hamill as the Joker, and that's such a big one, and all of the other ones that they've gotten are like they're not bad, but they're not on par in my opinion. Mm-hmm. At least maybe it's the nostalgia. I don't know.
It's for sure. I'm sure if like we were a different generation, this other person would be our Batman or our Joker, but we're not. So
which one is the Joker that has the dreadlocks?
Oh, that's the Batman cartoon.
The Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a great series. I was going
to say that, but I couldn't remember. There's so many of them.
There's so many. The Batman.
That's the one that I was like. Like stylistically, I mean.
Did you like Beware the Batman? I thought that one was cool.
I thought that one was pretty cool.
And it doesn't get it's kind of become a cult classic in the sense where it went for one season, like 20-ish episodes. And no one really talks about that much. Yeah. And it was
my boys
good.
Loved it.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was great. Yeah. So we'll see. But Batman, Caped Crusader, HBO Max coming, I believe, 2022. So
have they? Yes. I didn't see. Did they hint at target audience and all that? Are they going to go? Is it going to be kind of in the BTAS? It
seems like it, but they haven't said whether it's going to be more for like teenagers or adults, like if PG-13 or R.
I just can't imagine that they would go like the R route with it, the way they've done it with a lot of these.
I feel like it's going to be PG-13, probably in there.
So kind of BTAS, maybe a little bit more edgy.
For sure. I'm curious about the animation too, but Bruce Timm, is it going to be his classic like Bruce Timm style, or are they going to like modernize it a little bit?
I hope they don't. I hope they go 2D.
Yes, for sure. I don't want them to go like CG or anything like that.
I really love the art of the classic 2D animation. And I don't mind if they integrate that because they have those new animated technologies where they kind of do a hybrid where it's part 2D and then it has 3D elements that they incorporate to give it depth. So that would be fine, I think. But I love the art of 2D animation. The hyper real elements of the new modern 3D animation.
I'm curious, or maybe like with something like this, I'm wondering with those big names if they have some kind of new, because how like the Marvel What If series, how that's like a new type of animation where it's a hybrid of all these different things and very stylistic.
Yes.
That when you see that, you're gonna just think what if now.
Right.
I wonder if they're doing their own version of something where like this is our own. We're taking Bruce Timm's art and we're merging it with this and that and giving you something new.
It could be. It could be. And if they do go that route, that would be really fun.
It'd be interesting to see because I've seen people do renderings, like 3D artists and stuff do renderings of Bruce Timm's style in 3D, and it looks fantastic.
I just wonder what the lineup, like, how is it? I want to know how they're running it because you have J.J. Abrams, Bruce Timm, and Matt Reeves is like, are they going to kind of divvy it up to where each of them are going to be, I have to imagine, obviously, Bruce Timm and J.J. Abrams are going to be producing the overall thing.
Right.
Is Matt Reeves going to be kind of overseeing story? Are they all, each of them going to write one, direct one? I wonder how that dynamic is going to
Man, that is, must be nice, right?
Yeah, that's a really good problem to have.
That is a fun project. Talk about being like, what are you doing today, hon? Oh, I'm going to go write a Batman episode.
Yeah, grabbing lunch with JJ and Bruce.
Oh, man, that's crazy. I wonder like how Bruce was, Bruce Timm was getting that call too. Cause
oh, man.
They're all huge names in their own respective rights, but it's like, they're obviously fans of each other. I have to imagine. So it's be like, dude, J.J. Abrams, Matt Reeves called me. Hey, Bruce Timm, is on the phone with me.
I wonder if Bruce Timm is like, of course they're calling me.
I'm the king of DC animation.
Do they want to do Batman? And they were calling me. Yeah.
The Bruce Timm thing is funny because it's been hinted so many times where like he's done or he's not done. He's not working for DC, and they always seem to get him back in, which I am not complaining. He needs to be there for ever. He's the guy, but. Moving over to something else, because they've made a few announcements yesterday as far as DC animation goes. Injustice. People for years have been like, this would make, on our variant videos, when we cover the comic stuff like that, they're like, they need to make this a comic book. I mean, they need to make this an animated movie. It needs to be, some sort of cartoon or a movie. Well, it's happening. They heard, they listened, we're getting an Injustice animated movie.
I'm frankly shocked that it took this long.
Right? Because especially after the
popularity.
Yeah, and the success of Justice League Apocalypse War.
Yeah.
How that was very like, brutal. That's what Injustice is.
I have to imagine this is going to be in the same vein as that.
Oh man, yes. And we all know the story. If you guys don't, everyone's played the game, I'd have to imagine, or at least most of the people. But basically, Joker kills Lois, causes Superman to go crazy and take over the world and be this dictator, and Batman and his regime have to stop him. So it's an animated movie with Batman trying to stop an evil Superman.
I mean, it's like,
dude, man.
That's because just when you lay out just the simple version of the storyline,
like that premise, like
Injustice,
that,
you're like, well,
dude,
that's just everything we want.
People might be saying, well, that kind of sounds like what Snyder was trying to do with the Nightmare Verse. Yeah, because he took that from Injustice. So exactly, this is where it came from. This is the original. So, and as you know, if you read the Injustice series or you played the game, there's it's like. It's like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones. Yeah. People die all the time. Like constantly. You don't know who. I mean, if you read, but like for people who haven't read the books or played all the games, you're not going to know all the deaths. Right. So it's going to be fun to see like who lives, who dies, because big characters like Flash, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, they're not off the table. Everyone's on that table.
It is very Game of Thrones. In that way.
Man, I'm excited.
Yeah, and when here's the thing: is not only are they not off the table, is that when they are on the table. It's brutal. Dude,
we've done an episode on like the most brutal or more shocking moments, and there's
many of them are
some things that happen and like
pretty brutal.
They're like, hey, Mortal Kombat kills characters in really gruesome ways. Let's try to do that or even one up it.
Yeah, dude. and man, so it's kind of cool though. I mean, Superman literally melts people's like brains out of their skull through their eyes.
No joke. Yes.
Like it's crazy.
Yes.
Like in the coolest way possible.
I am so excited for this, and I hope too that because the Injustice universe is so vast now because of the amazing work by Tom Taylor and the comic books and stuff like that you could easily make this a trilogy.
Oh yeah,
easily. So
without any doubt,
I would imagine it has to, if anything, 2 parts because they've been doing a lot of 2-parters now with the animated movies that DC has been doing. So, but I want a trilogy, man. Trilogy.
I mean, I would be down honestly as long. Obviously, when it comes to DC animation, I know we have very strong opinions about what's been going on with Marvel and DC for the last couple of years, but I still have a ton of trust in DC animation. They've continued to do good work. Yes. And not everyone has been like lights out blockbuster, but they continue to churn out really. I mean, again, like you said, Apocalypse War just recently was fantastic.
So good. I bought the steelbook of that.
Yeah,
I had to own that one.
Even Gotham by Gaslight.
Oh, that's another great one from a few years ago. Yeah.
And what I just saw that they announced the sequel or the second part for
Batman: The Long Halloween.
Yeah, The Long Halloween.
Yep. So we got part 1 and 2.
Did you see the first one? I haven't seen the first one.
I haven't seen the first one. No, I didn't. They also released a Wonder Woman movie.
They did.
You know what? I'm so far behind on that because like we've been doing a lot of stuff like we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast for like personally and for Variant and our own projects and stuff. So. Is the part 1 of Long Halloween even out? I feel like I'm slacking. It is out?
Oh, it is, yeah.
Now I just feel like the worst Batman fan ever. How have I not seen this?
Man, well, now you're making me second guess. I'm almost positive.
You know what?
Because I looked at
Let's
it
see.
and I was like, I need to watch this. Am I misremembering?
I don't know.
I hope not.
No, June 22nd is when part 1 comes out. So it's not out.
What?
June 22nd.
Are you sure?
Right
Are you
there.
sure that's not part 2?
Part 1 says right there.
It says part 2 on it.
No, it doesn't. It says part 1 on June 22nd.
Part 2 trailer? Let me see. We'll kick off with the release of part 1 on June 22nd. What is that, June 22nd, 2020?
2021. No. That was posted 1 day ago.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that there. Okay. All right, fair enough. So it's not out. So are we just seeing advertisements for it? Is that?
You just been, yeah. So that means I'm still an awesome
all right,
Batman
so then,
fan.
then
That's
both
what
of
that
us
means.
aren't bad Batman
Yeah,
fans.
I was going to be very disappointed in myself.
Actually,
First,
we just proved that we are terrible Batman fans
we don't know.
didn't even know it was out or not.
Man, we didn't miss it. That's the point, all right?
No,
'Cause
okay.
that's probably something we're going to talk about on the podcast.
Because Long Halloween is one of Batman's,
Yeah.
at least one of my favorite Batman stories.
No, I think across the board, that is widely regarded as one of the best Batman stories of all time.
Awesome.
Like when you say, if someone's be like, best Batman stories, Dark Knight Returns, Killing Joke, Long Halloween, like those are the ones that kind of flow out. So for sure. But it makes sense too, because they've already done The Dark Knight Returns, part 1 and 2, animated movie. They already did The Killing Joke, and now Long Halloween. So I'm excited.
So that means, so we have one coming out. Did they announce the release date for part 2?
Probably. I didn't look, though.
We don't know that either.
Yeah, it's fine.
Because we're really, really prepared with information.
If the first one is not coming out till the 22nd, then, the next one's not coming out till at least 6 months after.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that means we have a really solid slate coming up.
We do. They did
With
release
these 2 and then Injustice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's looking very bright because there's also a Superman animated movie. There's a new Wonder Woman one. I actually need to catch up on these animated movies. I've been slacking, but there's just so much to watch.
It really is.
And not to go off the rails, but I'm a massive fan of Castlevania. The new season has just been put on Netflix recently here, and I am like, I still haven't watched it yet. I'm itching because I love that series so much.
You do. You're
my
you're actually really a fan of that
I need
show.
it. I don't know how I don't have a T-shirt yet.
You've been trying to get me to watch that show for like 2 years.
I'm telling, dude, if you like horror, vampires, or just like period pieces and like anime, good animation, dude, that's the show. That's the show.
I have to check it
And
because
then
I love the art for it.
You have. They're actually based out of Austin here, so not too far from us.
Yeah,
the art house that does it. But have you heard of Love, Death, and Robots?
Yes.
Okay, season 2 for that is also up.
Oh man.
And that is it's just a series of short films and stuff like that from a bunch of like super famous directors. I thought super duper famous directors, but from a bunch of like well-known directors and stuff like that. So it's just that Castlevania, Bad Batch.
So much content.
I'm trying to go through like Clone Wars still and rewatch Star Wars, and then I'm sure there's other things that I'm forgetting. It's just a lot.
Well, speaking of being caught up, are you caught up on Superman and Lois?
No, because there's episode 6 just came out.
It just came out.
I haven't watched episode 6.
We watched it.
Was it good?
It was good.
It
was good. There's one scene in particular that I was like, yes.
Dude. I've said it before. Like I won't
say nothing.
I was not excited for the series. It's not that I was like it's gonna be crap. I was just like it flew under the radar for me. I'm like, cool, another Superman CW show. But
and I started watching it first.
Yes, and you're the one who's like, no, watch it. So I watched it. I'm like, oh no, this is like it's really fun. It's heartfelt.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing I like about it most. That it's all about like
it's different.
It's different. It shows Superman how he's having to deal with being a husband and a father. Like it's more personal. It's like I think I said it before. It's kind of more relatable for me personally because I am a husband and a father. So I'm like, hey, if I was Superman, that'd be me.
I do think some of it, because of that dynamic of they're trying to tell the story from that perspective, I do think it makes some of it a little bit more like impractical. A
little bit.
You know what I mean? To where you're like,
I accept that cheese though. I accept it though.
Well, not just the cheese, but like, certain things happen, and because, I won't get into it, but certain things happen in the show where you're like, dude, you're Superman. You could just fix that in like 5 seconds.
It's like that. It's like just.
But he doesn't because they're trying to play out the family dynamic.
For sure, but that stuff happens like all the time, like in movies and comic books too, right? Where it's
That's
like
true.
There's this thing that a villain set up or someone set up, but it's like, yeah, but like you're faster than the speed of light, so you can literally kill him before they could even do anything.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
like stuff with the Flash.
Yeah. So it's like this makes no sense.
Yeah. But that happens quite a bit in the show. That would be my only. Well, no, I have a couple. I said it when I first watched the show. My other big gripe is there's just a lot of whininess from the kids.
Yeah.
That it starts to wear on me after a while. Where I'm just like, dude.
Maybe I need to watch that tonight though. Maybe now
you should.
But I have so much.
It was good. You should watch it for one scene in particular.
Oh man. You're making me excited.
It's not anything crazy and it's not long, but when it happens, I was just like, yeah, that's
nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, I am thoroughly enjoying it. It's funny though that cheese is like, you know, the stuff you just have to accept being like a sci-fi or like fiction fan.
Yes, that's true.
It's just funny though because it kind of goes down the rabbit hole of like the people who try to prove this stuff, like when you go to like power scaling and stuff, like if Goku and Superman were real, well, it's like okay, like I'm all about talking about that stuff.
Sure.
But it gets to a level where it's like, okay, like we do realize they're not real, right? So like depending on the writer,
it's true.
Everything you just said doesn't matter anymore.
Because you reach a certain point that unless it's written down by the creator, it's all subjective.
For sure.
And the real only in the end, the only subjective opinion that matters are the creators themselves. Mm-hmm. For all the rest of us, it's just our opinion, but it doesn't actually lend anything in terms of canon or fact to the stories or the characters themselves because we're not the ones writing it.
But it's funny too, because I remember, again, we were at New York Comic Con around the time BVS came out, and we got to, interview like Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, Neil Adams, like a bunch of people who've worked on Superman and Batman, right? A bunch of creators. And one of the questions we wanted to ask, because BVS coming out, was like, who would win, Batman or Superman? And they've all wrote Superman and Batman at some point in their career, right?
Right.
So it was really funny where like Snyder and Capullo were like Batman, but Neil Adams was like, Superman. She's like, are you kidding me? Like freaking laser vision, like from a mile away. What are you talking about? Not a shot. But it's funny because they're both wrote the character. So it's like it just proves that even amongst the people who write these characters, you're gonna get different answers.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Which is really funny.
And it's actually a really fun conversation to have with these creators because of that.
Yes.
You see their own fanboy come out.
Yeah.
Which is really funny and interesting to see that dynamic. When you talk about them, you see that, oh, this is why you're on this book, because you really love this character just as a fan.
For sure. Like if I ever had a chance to write Batman, he would be like, he could take Superman.
Right.
I would come up with a myriad of reasons, but like this is why.
Right. Yeah, I would be the opposite because I end up more practical.
Okay.
Because I love Batman, but I end up more practical. Like, no, Superman would definitely win that fight. So it's like I end up
write
being
a Superman
Neil
book,
Adams camp.
I'll write a Batman book, and then there'll be a crossover that a neutral party will write.
Yeah, that's right. That would be funny actually.
But Emily Blunt, Tim, I know that you've been down to talk about this. You talked about it at the beginning of the podcast. There's some news about Emily Blunt, so I want you to take this because you're heartbroken by this news.
I sent it to you the second I saw it, and I was like, come on, man. So Emily Blunt,
who's a fantastic actress, by the way.
Yes, who I absolutely love and adore with all my heart, as well as her husband, John Krasinski. He's
great too, yeah.
Both great actors, performers, seem like just really, really cool people. But Emily Blunt, who many of us anyway, had been hoping was going to take up the reins of Sue Storm.
Yes.
For the Fantastic Four in the MCU, alongside hopefully her husband John Krasinski.
Yes, that would have been amazing
as Mr. Fantastic. Well, she went on a podcast recently and was asked about that very thing, and lo and behold, her response ripped my soul from my chest, because she said, not only did she say that isn't a thing, she went way further and basically said, I love superheroes, I love superhero movies, but superhero movies are not my thing as an actor. That's just not really in my wheelhouse. And if it was maybe something super, super cool that was just the right fit at the right time, then maybe, but I don't see that happening, at least not anytime soon. And so it was like, not just shutting the door on it, she slammed the door shut.
But it's really weird, right? Because we know that she was actually going to be Black Widow.
Yes.
Like the only reason...
That was one of the things she talked about.
The only reasons why she wasn't Black Widow is because she had to shoot another movie, which I believe was that Jack Black movie.
Well, no, she said she turned it down.
Oh, she said she turned it down?
She turned it down.
Oh, okay, so that changes it. The story I heard...
She was offered Black Widow, and she turned it down.
Really? So I read from an unreliable source.
Well, according to what she said in the podcast, I haven't looked into it past that, but it came out of her own mouth. She said, I was offered the role of Black Widow and turned it down.
Oh, well, then that's the answer.
Yeah, that's
you can't
the
believe a news
source.
site. You got it. That's the source, right? So because I heard
like,
Gulliver's Travels. She was filming Gulliver's Travels with Jack Black, and it conflicted with her appearance in Iron Man 2.
And
so
she may have meant that. She may have meant like she turned it down because she had to, and she just didn't elaborate.
Oh, okay.
So that's possible.
Yeah, okay.
But, because she did go on to say that she would have loved to have worked with Robert Downey. And,
no, I'm gonna trash this anonymous news site now and be like, no, you were wrong. You led me astray. How dare you?
You're crap at your job. But yes, I was quite disappointed in this, as I know many will also be alongside me, because, man, those two playing the royal couple of the Fantastic Four essentially would have been awesome. And you got to kind of keep it in context a little bit too. You got to leave the caveat out there. This stuff happens all the time.
It does.
Where people say things and they say, oh no, I'll never, or that's not happening, and all this kind of thing. And then it ends up happening anyway. So it technically does. It's not the end all. It's not a definitive per se.
It's kind of like
she did leave a crack.
It's kind of like Obama being asked if there's no aliens, saying no, there's not. Then years later, he's like,
if there were UFOs
or UFOs, he's like, absolutely not. Now, more recently, he's like, oh yeah, there is.
Oh yeah,
so
just kidding.
Yeah,
oh, by the way, remember the UFO aliens thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
because anyone who has been paying attention to world news, like, the government has flat out told us, UFOs are a thing.
One of the most underreported,
like, it makes no sense.
No stories.
No sense.
Probably arguably the biggest story, the biggest bomb story in easily our lifetimes, maybe all of human history. Potentially, and it's barely been on anyone's radar for like the last year because so much crap has gone on.
They're telling us that Martian Manhunter is real and no one cares.
Yeah.
No, it was like, okay, cool.
Dude, there was a guy, a Navy pilot, went on, was it 60 Minutes or 2020? I think it was 60 Minutes.
I think it was 60 Minutes. That's what I was going to say.
Went on 60 Minutes, we'll say. If it was 60 Minutes or 2020, whatever. It's 60 Minutes because it was CBS.
Okay. So I like how you know what network it's on.
So went on 60 Minutes and said, we have been running into these things. We've been observing these things in restricted airspace every single day for at least the last 2 years. I was like, that was the moment for me where I just went, wait, what? Say that one more time for the guys in the back.
All that means is, Tim, that Independence Day is a thing. They have the craft and they have a body hidden somewhere at Area 51 or maybe something even more secret. You know what? Area 51 I feel like is the ruse. Like, it's like, oh, that's where everything is. Where the real thing.
Well, that's what Bob Lazar said.
Where the real thing is somewhere else. Like,
yeah. Well, he said that he worked in an area that was inside the Area 51 compound, but it was miles away, called something for S4.
Mm-hmm.
So it was in that area, but it was like around a mountain. Crazy. So it was like everybody's looking at the base, and there's this other thing that's like embedded in a mountain. And he said that's where they actually work.
Dude, that's full on like from the Transformers. You know how the military base is in the freaking mountain? Mm-hmm. Dude.
And here's the thing. Like for all of you guys that are listening, this is going, we took a hard left. but like the Bob Lazar thing, if you look into that, the thing that makes that the most compelling, because we don't know definitively what he said, whether it was right or, whether he's telling the truth.
All this stuff that's coming out makes it seem a lot more legit.
But the thing for me that makes it the most compelling is how he said back in the 80s, things that were not even on our, like, for instance, when he was talking about element 115.
An element that doesn't even exist.
It didn't even exist on the periodic chart at the time. And years later, it was confirmed that it, in fact, does exist. They confirmed it in one of the particle colliders and was able to stabilize it for a brief moment. And apparently they're doing more with it. But anyway, that's what he said. Like, this is what is used to fuel and propel or give energy to these crafts and stuff like that. And everybody said, oh, see, clearly he's lying. That doesn't even exist. And turns out, 20 years, 30 years later, it does in fact exist. So like all these things that he said that everybody was like, he's making this crap up. It's decades later is proven to be true, which only lends credence to, holy crap, was this dude working on UFOs that we have?
Man, this is a rabbit hole, but but yeah, all that to say, aliens are real and no one really cares.
Yeah, nobody's paying attention.
No one cares. I mean, I've been a believer. You know me. I was like, yeah, of course. I actually always like to say, I'm like, I feel like it's ignorant not to believe that we're really the only things in all of the universe. Yeah. Really. So
I'm a skeptic, so I fall into the camp of like, it's possible.
Watch, people are gonna make shirts.
It's possible either way.
So like, Arris believes in aliens. What a dork.
It's just gonna be your picture, and then it's just gonna say believe.
Oh, someone please make that. I'll wear it on the channel. I will wear it in an episode. We'll send you the address, and I will wear it.
And then somebody needs to make one with my face, and then it'll just say maybe. So yeah, I mean, it's super fascinating. And all of that stuff that's coming out, it's super. But the hilarious part is that no one cares. No one is paying attention to it. And that answer is like, that kind of flies in the face of like, they've been lying about this for decades. 80 years.
Yeah, decades.
Right? Since the 1940s or 50s. Right? And it's like all this time, it finally gets announced and everybody's like, oh, okay. What's on Netflix tonight?
It almost kind of seems like everyone's like, yeah. We knew that. We knew you were lying. Yeah. Because the reaction is so
there was
like,
enough
tame.
Smoke for so long.
Yeah, that everyone's like, well, it's nice that you're confirming it, but we knew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. At least that's how it seems, because everyone's like so like nonchalant. But the crazy thing is, they've been saying that like there is some stuff they're still not telling us. It's classified, that they're going over with Congress and government officials right now that we won't know for a little bit here. So
they're actually briefing Congress right now.
They're like, listen, we got an alien brain. We're poking it. We're prodding it. And for some reason, it's obsessed with the Golden Girls. I don't know why, but it is.
Why the Golden Girls?
It's a classic. That's why, Tim. It is a sitcom classic.
It's a fine selection.
Give us some Blanche, some Dorothy, some Rose.
Oh my God, that's so good. I want that to be true now. I need that in my mind. Some aliens who love Golden Girls. Yes. Oh my God. But they have acknowledged. The Pentagon has openly acknowledged that they do have exotic materials of unknown origin, metals specifically.
That's creepy, dude.
Yeah.
That's like, what if it's like weapons?
I mean, at some point you have to go like, how much tech that we have
is based off of extraterrestrial
stuff? Some sort of reverse engineered, or is the result of reverse engineered tech, exotic tech that we have that is maybe not of this earth.
I like to believe there's like an alien named Ned that works for the government in the Pentagon, and he's just there like conjuring and putting together all this stuff for people. But he's got like a British accent. Yeah, he's a gentleman.
Yeah, he works in the cafeteria alongside Ted.
He's very pleasant to have dinner with.
So what we're saying, in long and short, Emily Blunt isn't going to be Sue Storm, and UFOs are real.
How did we even get from Emily Blunt to freaking UFOs?
You know what? I don't even care.
I don't remember.
I don't even care. Every moment was worth it.
Anyway, she was gonna play Black Widow, so I guess that leads into our next thing, the new Black Widow clip.
I think that's a perfectly reasonable transition.
So Marvel Studios, the MCU, the guys we love so much, yes. They released 2 new clips, about a minute clip for Black Widow and about a minute clip for Loki, the Disney Plus series, both of which awesome. That part really cool in the Black Widow clip where they turn the car backwards and the door flies off to freaking knock the motorcyclist down. Dude.
Amazing.
I was like, yeah.
The action in that movie looks like it's going to be balls out.
It looks like a Bourne film or something like that, but like legit. To the superhero level, right?
Which, I mean, makes sense for what it is. Like Black Widow, the Red Room, and all that kind of stuff.
And it made me more sad that this should have been on like Blu-ray already, right? Because this movie was supposed to come out May of 2020. Yeah, I believe.
I believe it was May. It was May. No, it was May. It was the first movie of the year.
Yeah, so just early last year.
Beginning of May.
Yeah. And so we should be able to like owning it right now, watching it on repeat, but we're getting it, here soon.
It is what it is.
But anyway, it looks fantastic. I'm trying not to watch too much, but everyone was tweeting it to me and it was out. I'm like, I've waited so long. I'll just watch the minute. I'll watch it.
Whatever.
I'll watch it. And then Loki, dude, Owen Wilson confirming that he's playing Mr. Mobius, who's a big part of the TVA, Time Variance Authority. Time Variance Authority. There we go. I'm got to learn how to talk. But yeah, I mean, it looks awesome. It looks like it could be my favorite MCU Disney Plus show yet. which says a lot because the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision were both great.
I said the same thing, dude. I saw this latest teaser, this latest these clips, or I guess it was a full trailer, really.
Right.
But it was a series of scenes that were connected. But I saw that and I was like, oh man, this looks so like some next level stuff right here.
Yeah.
I think it looks and this is, this is not a knock on the first two series, but I think this looks like the most MCU.
I agree.
Like iteration of these stories that we've seen.
Like even the cinematography, right?
Yes,
like it just
about it.
literally, like not even looking like sense of story, but like you were saying, like literally when my eyes look at it
visually,
it looks like a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just has that tone that we're used to from the MCU.
But that's what I was kind of saying a few podcasts back, where it's like WandaVision and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, amazing. The production is incredible, and all that stuff. And but for me, it was both of them. I loved WandaVision and I loved the Falcon and Winter Soldier, but they just seemed there was that little secret sauce, that little special thing that it didn't make it feel quite like a cinematic movie.
It lacked an edge.
Something, right?
Yes.
And it's just that, when they say about singers and talent, it's like you don't have that secret sauce. You're just missing that thing that pushes you over the edge.
That last little thing.
Yeah, and I feel like it was missing that, and this seems like it probably has caught that. I don't know what it is.
And we could be wrong.
We could be.
We haven't
yes,
seen it
we
yet.
could be, yeah. Just
because Falcon and Winter Soldier, I kind of felt like that a little bit watching the initial trailers.
Right.
Because they were showing us these really action-packed trailers, and I was like, oh, this looks super MCU. But I think this one looks even more so.
It does. It seems like, but I wonder.
And that's not to say that Falcon and Winter Soldier wasn't MCU.
No,
that's not what we're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like, again, loved both of those shows. Really, really great shows and great additions to the MCU. I mean, seeing freaking the Falcon as Captain America now, awesome. Just seeing the banter between Winter Soldier and Falcon now, Captain America,
now
great.
Captain America.
And WandaVision, we love that series as well. So there's just I don't know. It's just that thing where it's like, again, the budget was all there. The special effects were on par, but there's just, I don't know what it is. They're that little secret thing that this seems like it could have, but we don't know yet. We'll have to watch it.
We have to wait and see. We got, obviously we're going to be, we're going to say whether or not this is like our favorite or not. We're going to talk about the show as the show progresses and stuff like that. But I'm curious to see once the first, let's say, year of these series roll out, and once we start seeing how they're tying into the broader MCU and the films, I'm curious to see which one ends up being like the standout for us.
I'm wondering too,
because we have a few more to go.
We do. And I'm also wondering if there's like some kind of disconnect because they are TV series and not movies. So like once we see like, let's say Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, like it references stuff that happened in WandaVision, then we'll be like, oh, yeah, now it's legit. When it's already legit.
Or at least it makes it cooler.
It makes it cooler. When it's 100%, they were referencing like, Endgame stuff, Infinity War stuff, and all that stuff. So it's, not to say it's not. This is just a weird personal thing, I guess. But I'm just curious to see like long term, like you were saying, like once it really, because we haven't seen any of this stuff referenced in a movie yet. We've seen all the movies referenced in these series, but I want to see how it's going to feel when they reference the Disney Plus series in the actual movies.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think with Loki too, I think, man, I don't know why, but when I think Loki, I think such a central part of the MCU.
He was the first big MCU villain.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's such a central, important character in those stories that as soon as I see him on screen, and the fact that the cinematography is very similar, I think it even has almost like a Thor Dark World.
It is. I like
not the color palette.
Well, I like how grainy
dark,
it is.
Yeah, dark graininess of it. So as soon as I see it, I'm just like, oh man, this just looks.
And Hiddleston is like, that's him. Like he's kind of like Robert Downey Jr. You cannot cast another Iron Man. Like exactly. Hiddleston is Loki.
And Owen Wilson.
He looks great.
He looks great.
He looks great.
Role. And I think everything they're doing with the TVA,
it looks fun.
Awesome. So there's so many parts of the show that are just, it seems like this one is going to come together really, really nicely, and it's going to have a lot of good chemistry. And I'm really excited about it. We're not that far away, only a few weeks away from it.
I know. I'm very, very excited. We're, like I said last podcast, there's going to be a lot of crossover between Bad Batch and Loki in 1 week.
That's right.
Because we'll have Loki on Wednesdays, Bad Batch episodes on Fridays, and it's just going to add more to my plate. Be like, okay, well, guess I'm never leaving my house if I gotta watch all these series. She's like an awesome problem to have. It's just like, oh no, I have to watch so many cool TV shows. My life sucks.
Such a first world diva.
But anyway, those two clips, they look great. Obviously, we're very excited about both the Black Widow movie and the Loki Disney Plus series, and we'll be chatting about them when we feast our eyes and ears on them as they're released.
Yes, sir. I know I'm super stoked to finally get Black Widow.
I know.
It's been like 20 years.
I want to see Red Guardian so bad because he looks hilarious.
Can you imagine how excited Scarlet Johansson is to finally get this movie out? And all of the cast, for that matter?
I could only imagine all the shifting and stuff they had to do behind the scenes to make sure like everything was still in line. It's like,
can you imagine if Rachel Weisz does in fact turn out to be Taskmaster?
That's my guess.
And that's my guess,
That's my guess.
And if that ends up being the reveal, could you imagine how she must feel having to wait this long for that reveal that she's Taskmaster in the MCU?
Oh man, that'd be crazy. But I wonder too, like, because the MCU quote unquote problem is they do one and done villains. So I wonder if it'll even mean anything going forward.
Man, Taskmaster though.
I know.
Could you imagine if they do that with Taskmaster? That would be.
But there's so many other characters that they should have kept it.
I freaking hope they don't do that.
Yeah, we'll see. But staying in the movie world, Tim, I guess the last bit of news we have to talk about, G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
Snake Eyes is getting an origin movie, and we got a teaser trailer.
This is true.
This
happened in real life.
This happened in real life. Now, I'm like, not the biggest G.I. Joe fan out there, right? Like, I don't not like G.I. Joe. I'm just like, I have nothing against G.I. Joe. I don't want to. Did it sound like I was kind of like I hate G.I. Joe?
It's just so sincere.
No,
I don't dislike.
No, it's because it's just one of those things. I don't not like G.I. Joe. It's just not something I follow. I didn't grow up with cartoons and stuff like that. It was a little before my time.
I probably did more than you.
Yeah. Like I'm kind of like that with He-Man and G.I. Joe. They're a little before my time. Those were like earlier 80s. I'm late 80s kid, right? So like I'm more. So by the time I was like 4 or 5, Power Rangers and BTAS, that was my stuff. So I'm an early 90s kid, right? But anyway,
it wasn't rehashed the way other series like Transformers were,
right,
from that era,
right. Yeah. Even, although side note, I said He-Man, Kevin Smith's He-Man cartoon on Netflix. There's images for that. It looks freaking dope.
I have not seen it actually.
You haven't seen the images they released? I
haven't seen it,
dude. And Mark Hamill is voicing some of the characters.
I did hear that. I saw that.
The animation. It's the same. The people who are doing the animation for it are the same people who are doing Castlevania. Oh, so that should tell you how cool it looks.
Okay, now I gotta look at that after we're done here.
But anyway, in that vein, it's like I just very cool properties. I see why people love them just as much as I love things like Batman and Star Wars. But it's just not the thing I gravitated towards too. But I will say, anytime a movie comes out or even a modern cartoon series, I'm all about it. And because I love ninjas, I love samurai, I just love that anything military and cool like that. And this looks like fun. It seems like it could go the way of Mortal Kombat. It could, but it looks fun. It looks like a lot of fun.
It gave me serious Mortal Kombat vibes. I
try to be positive.
Yeah, that's totally fair. But I will say it did give me those vibes. However, having said that, the action in the trailer looked
the sword
very
fighting
cool.
and stuff. Yeah,
it did look very cool.
Well, Snake Eyes is just like what it's no wonder why he's getting a solo origin movie, right? Which hopefully is going to spawn into more movies.
One of the coolest characters.
Just even you look at him, you're like, oh. Like, I remember as a kid, again, not really, watching or getting into the G.I. Joe cartoons and stuff, but the action figures, like Storm Shadow and Snake Eye, I had the little G.I. Joe action figures of them because it's like, they just look cool. Like, you know what I mean? I just want them because they look cool and they come with swords and guns. So, there's the appeal there because as we know, G.I. Joe is a toy line and stuff like that. And they're like, hey, we'll make a cartoon to sell toys.
Yeah. I think that my issue with all them trying to bring back G.I. Joe with feature films and their kind of, outing so far is that I just don't think that they know what to do with it. That's the kind of the vibe that I get. Because they kind of do that whole half-hearted, we're not going to give it like a massive budget. You know what I mean? And we
don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah. And they also kind of are following almost like a Fast and the Furious kind of.
Yes. It does have those vibes.
Yeah. Architecture for it. And it's like, even freaking The Rock was in the second one.
Yeah. From the previous live action.
So they're kind of following that kind of theme, or I should say tone. And G.I. Joe is not that. in my opinion, having grown up with it, the problem I think, and the reason I think that they're having problems with it is because they don't want to let it be what it is.
Yeah.
You know what
well,
I'm
that's
saying?
what happens with a lot of things in fandom that gets
Yes,
adapted into TV or movies, right?
And if they really want G.I. Joe to be successful,
you need to lean into it.
Yeah, they got to lean into that thing. They got to let it be what it is. Let
Yo, Joe.
not take itself too seriously, but go full-blown 80s action film with it. Where you've got
that'd be dope.
Military, I mean, you know what I mean?
Almost like Expendables style, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Where you know, it doesn't take itself too seriously. There's some on-the-nose stuff, but it's super cool. And it just has a big explosions, lots of gunfire.
Sword fights, all that
Sword
stuff.
fights.
I mean,
and you just let it be what it is.
I mean, yeah, that's what the cartoon and comic series is kind of all about, right? Like, I just want to see like two ninjas fight each other, or it's like brutes like Major Blood and stuff like that, and Zartan fight. I want all that stuff.
Exactly. And that's always, in my opinion, that seems to be where a lot of these types of things, these franchises and these IPs, when they get made into a movie, that's where they kind of get derailed. Is that they don't want to let it, for whatever the reasoning is, they don't want to let it be what it is. They want to do some new modern iteration of the thing or whatever. And that's not what people are going to see it for.
Everyone's got to put their fingerprint on it. Like, let's show you my take.
Yeah, and there's that's a whole other thing when you get into like the politics of filmmaking and with big studios and all of that. But you know, it's like the reason that we're gonna go, you or I or fans or whatever, kids that we grew up in the 80s, 90s, the reason we're gonna go to the theater to see these things is to see the thing we grew up with,
for sure,
in a live action form.
Yes,
right, and treated fairly, but also allowed to keep, you know, the heart and soul of what it is. When you gut these franchises and then you slap together something that's totally different that just has the name, it just leverages the name.
Yeah.
You know, you lose the audience.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we've seen, you know, with a lot of these type of IPs as they've rolled them out onto the big screen. So I'm curious to see with Snake Eyes Origin, if they're going to continue in that kind of Fast and the Furious tone and they're not really going to, it's not really authentic G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Or if they're going to kind of reboot it and let it breathe a little bit and make something that's more in line.
I'm curious. I'm going to give it a watch. I hope it doesn't disappoint like at least me, like Mortal Kombat did. So
I still haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And I may never watch the movie.
Yeah.
And it's your fault.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to love
Warner
it.
Brothers,
I wanted it. I wanted to love it.
Send an email to Arris.
Watch people are listening who had like a part in it. I'm like, hey man, I'm not dissing you. I'm just saying I personally, you know, some things aren't for everyone. I'll say that. there's a lot of people out there that probably love it. Okay, I just happen to fall.
There was actually quite a few people that really liked it.
I'm just in the camp that was not in the love it category. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know. Maybe one day I'll skim through it.
Anyway, Tim, I think that wraps up today's podcast. Huh?
I think that, did we check everything off of our list?
We did with a Sharpie and all.
Yeah, this was actually a fun kind of nothing major to break down in detail. This was just kind of a fun run through the news of things that have happened over the past week.
You want the geek news? We'll give you the geek news.
We'll give you the geeky news.
Giggity, all right. That's how we should start every podcast hour end.
Yeah, that's going to be our FM radio morning talk show version.
Like, I'm sorry, what did you get Quagmire on here? And he reads comic books now? What? But anyway, guys, we'll see you next time when we talk about all things comics.